Good evening. I'd like to call the October 23rd, 2019 meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vieira?
Here.
Dr. Vogt?
Here.
Mrs. Wittes? Here. Dr. Selly?
Here.
Mr. Dangler?
Here. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I hereby certify that this meeting has been posted in the newspapers in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and post is required by law.
Thank you. We have Employee of the Month presentation. Ms. Susan Moore. Ms. Susan Moore is currently employed with the Long Branch Police Department. Susan is an administrative analyst assigned to the Support Services Division. Susan has become an invaluable member of the Long Branch Police Department and the residents of Long Branch. Susan has developed and currently works on a variety of projects for the police department as well as other city departments. Here are just a few examples of the projects created by Susan for the police department in addition to her other responsibilities. Continually updating and the opening and closings of business in the Spelman Police database, including continuous monitoring of the incoming calls for the services to correct or input any premise information as needed, preparing and analyzing the monthly police department's CompStat presentation. Susan is also the primary point contact for the federally controlled database initiative, which promotes the use of open data to encourage joint problem solving, innovation, enhance understanding, and accountability between communities and law enforcement agencies that serve them. However, Susan's greatest achievement may be her tireless work with FEMA. Susan, over the last 2 years, has completed the New Jersey program for floodplain managers and has recently passed the written exam to become certified as a floodplain manager. Susan serves as a CRS coordinator, community rating system, for the city of Long Branch and attends the monthly CRS users group meeting. Susan coordinates the CRS auditing process for the city's acceptance into the program at a level 7 and has passed the audit process by the CRS for the annual recertification. This certification has made it possible for all residents in the city of Long Branch to get a 15% discount on their flood insurance premiums. Susan created and updated multiple target flyers for the distribution during the city's events. Susan works in collaboration with all departments involved with maintenance, buildings, OEM, to compile information needed for inclusion of the CRS at the maximum discount availability. Susan is a tremendous asset to the city of Long Branch and the police department and all of the residents. Thank you very much and congratulations. Hearings, we have none. Reading for approval, the previous minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the October 10th, 2000.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Viera?
Yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
Mr. Dangler?
Yes. Consideration of ordinance and public hearing and final consideration. This is the second reading for ordinance 1719 entitled an ordinance revising chapter 103 entitled alcoholic beverages by amending this section 103.4 limitation of on location of the code of the city of Long Branch. This ordinance was introduced October 10th, 2019. I need a motion to open up the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address us by speaking on this ordinance only, may step to the mic. State their name and address clearly for the record. They will have 5 minutes only to speak and may only speak once.
Hi, Ernest McNally. I think you know where I was born. I live in Asbury now. I'm not clear on the ordinance, so is there a chance you could clarify me on it?
Sure. When we had a request for the transfer of a license, and when we went in and looked
I'm sorry,
at the
transfer of?
transfer of a liquor license, and when we went in and looked at when we went in and looked at the liquor license statute, we realized that there was actually a typographical error in it. It sought to establish a 1,000-foot requirement between licenses, but actually it removed it. So we needed to correct the ordinance, but we also needed to deal with the issue of if you have a permitted use where an eating establishment or a drinking establishment is permitted in a zone, it was a recommendation of the planning department that the 1,000-foot restriction doesn't make any sense, that we're really only concerned about those, clustering them in non-permitted zones. So we corrected the ordinance to deal with that issue also.
Okay. I guess if I can with the city attorney, I guess there's a lot of, relative to bars and clubs and liquor licenses in Asbury and Long Branch, they're kind of sister cities, being the only two cities in the county. They tend to, with economic times, tend to rely on, I guess, what's called sin economy, like bars and clubs. So right now in Asbury, we're up to 48. And what we notice is that when the push is on to get the revenue, usually the city council, the city attorneys, mayor, et cetera, they tend to move around like restrictions so that, for example, McClune's in Asbury has a liquor license. So then they want to open up an Iron Whale restaurant, which is really at the other end of the building. It's not connected. And then they get turned down by the city because you're not allowed to do that. But then they appeal it to the state, and now they got the Iron Whale and McClune's on one liquor license. And then you got Bond Street, one license. Then it gets a Mexican restaurant, Capital Line on Main Street. They're not even connected. And then they open up a bar underneath Cookman Avenue in an old sewer pipe or whatever it was. So the point is, why are these two cities historically, and I'm born in one and raised and live in the other one, always obsessed with sin economy businesses? Like you just passed an ordinance to do away with put 2-hour parking at the end of 2nd Avenue. Now we know why, because in the summer that bar that you just opened gets very crowded, and the residents who are using that are in the patron's way. So why don't we just change the ordinance, put 2-hour, and now the cigar smoking, weed smoking customers can come in and displace the residents. And I know it sounds offensive, but everybody knows bars and clubs in Asbury are obsessed with marijuana, cigars, cigarettes, sin economy, violence, sex, which is very indicative of a sex economy. So the question is, I'm wondering, with Lower Broadway still sitting flat, with Long Branch trying to mimic Asbury in terms of sin economy, does that mean that it's safe to say that when I come here, and I hope I keep coming here for another 28 years, when I keep coming here, I'm always going to hear another bar, another ordinance, another resolution to kind of like keep accommodating the sin economy. In other words, can't we learn from the mistakes of Asbury, the second most dangerous place in the state, mostly from crime bars and clubs, and maybe try and bring back the motif of family businesses? So maybe you can say, gee, let's make an ordinance to increase that retail clothing store. They're not supposed to have another one next door, but let's change that resolution. Instead of always hearing like bars and liquor and then you go on national TV that you're part of a governor's smoking ban, and yet you go to all these bars and clubs, and I don't mean you, and I don't mean me, but can I finish?
Yeah, but what does it have to do with
What
this
does that have to
ordinance?
do with this ordinance?
I don't care. I think it has to do with the ordinance, so
It does not
what are
have-
you going to do? You're going to stop me?
Sir.
Go ahead.
Don't test me. What I'm saying to you is.
Yeah, I know, but
this is not-
listen, he was listening, so I don't know why you're interrupting.
Well, because I'm the council president, I'm not interrupting you.
That gives you the right to interrupt
I'm
me.
trying to have run an orderly
You don't
meeting.
think I'm talking about the liquor
No,
license?
Not about this ordinance, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Is that my time?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you should stop interrupting people.
Anyone else? I need a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is the third reading of ordinance 1719, entitled an ordinance to revise chapter 103, entitled alcoholic beverage, by amending section 103.4, limitations on location of the code of the city of Long Branch. I need a motion to adopt the third and final reading and advertise according to law.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Viera?
Yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yeah.
Mr. Dangler?
Yes. Ordinance for introduction, we have none. Public portion, I need a motion.
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? If there is anyone in the audience that has a comment to make, please step to the podium and state your name and address clearly for the record. You will be given 5 minutes and may only speak once.
Hi, I'm Linda Swinby, and I live at 157 7th Avenue, Gregory School Apartments. I, for some time, have had this on my mind, and ever since I've worked at the beach. And I've looked around, and my question is, and I've tried to deny my even being here and answering this, or asking this question. But it's a concern I have, and I hope I can get the right answer, or a good answer anyway. But with all the $1 million condos and apartment buildings being built on the beachfront and around the area, when does it become too much availability? What I mean by that is too many buildings being built. When does it become too much buildings being built, condos and apartment being built? How do you know when, we keep building and building and building, want to redevelop? But my question is, when does it become too much development? Is there going to be a point where it becomes too much development, where buildings are going to be built and then not be filled and be emptied, stand there and be empty? I mean, that was a question that I didn't even want to ask it, but is there ever a possibility that there's going to be too many buildings being built in Long Branch where they're going to be standing empty?
That's actually a great question, and in the next few months, we're going to be going through the process of redoing the master plan. And when you redo the master plan, those are the kind of questions that get asked, because the question is, how much density do you have? How many units should get built? So those are actually, those are the kind of questions. So there are going to be some public forums on it, and then there'll be hearings before the planning board, but that's That's a good question. That's the question that the planning board asked. Do we have too many of this type of use or too many of that type of use? So it's a very good question.
Yeah, and another question, while I'm thinking about it, why has it taken Seaview Apartments, you know, down by where our beach office is, why has it taken so long to get that developed? It's been 20 years? I do believe it's been, those buildings have been empty 20 years. Why would it take that long to, you know, and I think if I remember a couple council meetings ago, it was approved for development or something, or there was some, something came up about getting the area, that parcel developed. So why, but my question is, why has it taken so long to get that area, that particular building developed?
I mean, go ahead, George.
To that point, we have a resolution on tonight that would further the efforts to redevelop that site specifically. Resolution R207-19.
But 20 years? Why would it take 20 years to get some, you know, that could have been developed a long time ago?
Well, the reality, Linda, is,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't
you have an owner. An owner can sit on it. There's been a couple developers who've come and gone on that project. Once they get approval for the footprint for a particular project, then there's a length, they can, you know, sit on that for what, 3 to 5 years?
Sure.
Or, I mean, so it's just a very, you know, it's a very long process. The bottom line is, you know, somebody needs to build it and to pay for it. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here. It looks like there's a serious developer who has the approvals. There's some modifications that we want to be sure of. And primarily, our number one goal is to get those buildings down. I don't know, do you want to add to that, George?
No, that's right on the money.
So you're saying the property owner can do whatever they want to do and take as long as they want to
They can.
get their property developed?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, you've been very helpful, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ernie,
Anyone else?
Mr. McNolly,
Ordinance or the,
I would
no clapping?
Public
like
comment.
to ask you to take the drink out of the room. There's no food and drink allowed in this room. Please?
You mean you want to put the bottles outside?
Yes,
You doing that for everyone?
yep. Thank you.
Vincent Lepore, 33 Ocean Terrace, Long Branch, 1-minute notification. It sickens me to come up here after the answers I've just heard to the prior speaker. Concerning Resolution 20719 on the area of Seaview Towers, declaring it a redevelopment zone. We're here tonight because the Planning Board approved a resolution okaying and suggesting to the council that they go ahead with a redevelopment zone. In the resolution of the Planning Board that night, when they had the hearing, David Brown II, the chairman, stated, quote, Vincent Lepore offered a vague objection to the preliminary investigation, end quote. David Brown II's competence, or rather incompetence, as chairman of the board is comparable to the incompetence of other Pelone appointees to that board, that being the planning board. I responded at an evening to the criteria of A&D of the local redevelopment and housing laws as presented by the planning director. 3 points of interest that I stated. I asked why wasn't a rehabilitation zone considered instead of a redevelopment zone, to which the planning director responded he was not directed by council to study a rehabilitation designation. I asked why were the buildings allowed to deteriorate over the years, particularly the past 10? Did the fact that law enforcement agencies used the buildings to land helicopters on the roofs, conduct practice blowout raids and drills, both inside and out the building, have anything to do with the deterioration, to which there was silence? The underlying premise to that question was, where for the past 10 years has city's code enforcement and city's building inspectors been to allow that building to deteriorate to that point? I also mentioned that Team Pelone and its board appointees have another motive behind this redevelopment zone designation for Seaview Towers, and I requested a no vote. To further prove the incompetence of David Brown II, In reading the resolution, compared to the study area, David Brown stated it's 3.68 acres, as opposed to the Director of Planning, which stated it's 3.55 acres. So, Planning Board approves it, and here we are this evening. The fact is, the current owners of Seaview area properties have not only approvals by the Planning Board, but have also secured an extension for their infamous, quote, Stairway to Heaven project. Those approvals seem to take place without the present owners going for any redevelopment zone designation. In the report for the redevelopment zone, which this resolution is based on, under statutory authority and process, quote, this process may result in the adoption of a redevelopment plan, which is a new set of redevelopment regulations, along with the ability to offer enhanced fiscal tools that may act as incentives to prospective redevelopers, end quote. Folks, doesn't take much to figure out what those enhanced fiscal tools are. Tax abatements. And keep in mind, the Seaview Towers is already in a federal opportunity zone for tax incentives. The fact is, Team Pallone knows that the current owner has a buyer, but the buyer wants more units on the Seaview Towers property, a mini Pier Village, higher density. To accommodate the buyer, Team Pallone will make it easier for higher density and more units with the redevelopment zones instead of the current C4 zoning, which would require the applicant developer to go before the boards, costing them time and money. Team Pallone, 2 members, Selly and Pallone, are fully aware the Ramada Hotel attempted 2 years ago to come in on this property, wanting higher density. The fact is, it's disingenuous of Team Pallone to go ahead with a redevelopment zone, to which, to the public record, I'm requesting a no vote. They campaigned on no new tax abatements. They did it. They campaigned on no new redevelopment zones. They did it. They campaigned on no new higher density oceanfront developments. They're doing it. They failed to consider a rehabilitation zone. They failed to properly revise the C4 zoning for amendments. And all they're doing is a slide before the master plan review by the public to have input on this, particularly the Seaview area's property. They want it codified now as a redevelopment zone. Fact is, Team Pallone is a bunch of liars, and all this redevelopment zone will do is to continue along Ocean Boulevard the blight of Long Branch known urban sprawl. And by the way, will the city give away the right-of-way on this area the way they gave Kushner Adams Street at no cost? Junk government. Thanks for lying, Team Pallone.
Is there anyone else?
I'll go. Be pretty hard for me to top that. President, is there any restriction on what I say? Mr. Dangler?
This is public portion, sir.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Ms. Selly, I put the drink outside, okay? So we're good to go? Thank you. You have to be kidding me. It's a televised event, and the way people who come here to speak get treated, I don't know how. I don't know how this administration is like living with that. What, don't anyone say anything to you that you probably have 10,000 people watching this? And the way you disrespect people here. Maybe they're not watching. Can I get a 1-minute warning?
Sure.
Thank you very much. After a meeting, typical, Chief Roebuck threatens people. He threatened me in the back of the meeting, it was on camera. Told me to stay out of Long Branch or he was going to arrest me. He didn't like what I was talking about. I approached him as a press person and said, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. I said, when will Piscucci surrender for his prison term? Get out of here, Rob. I'm going to arrest you. Don't come back. Okay, right? Now, Mr. Jackson over there, the former chief from Eatontown, who was probably brought here by Mr. Musi. They're all friends, right? So what do? They send me a letter saying, never happened. Never happened. That's like saying he didn't come up and, what most people believe, forcefully, unlawfully arrest Mr. Lepore. I mean, he was a public safety director, a citizen. He's wearing a police badge and a service weapon. Now, we have the case from Asbury. It sets the precedent. I don't know the guys. What was the public safety director's name from Long Branch? Went to trial. You cannot wear a weapon and a badge, right? It sets the precedent, right? So Roebuck doesn't care. He just does what he wants. Schneider makes him chief in some strange deal that nobody can figure out. And then he comes around threatening people. How many more people do you have to listen to here say they're in fear of this guy? He's a bully. And you don't do anything about it. You got elected to get rid of him. Excuse me? The tractor accident. Who knows about that? I can't get it in the press. One of the tractors runs over a woman on the Long Branch Beast. There's no press. Now, who's the PIO person, the press person? Roebuck. I'm press. I call. I'd like to speak to you about that. No talk. Okay, I file, I get the police report. Now we know what happened, right? How come the public doesn't know what happened? A tractor ran over a woman, almost killed her. And it doesn't make the news, and the link won't talk to me. You know, it's just a cover-up. A lot of cover-ups here. And like see how I explain how, I think it's maybe Mr. Guidetti, the fire chief, the heavy equipment operator, why there was no flagger, why there was no spotter. There's supposed to be a lot of things. The woman was run over, busted pelvis, busted leg, tractor marks all over her body, and it doesn't make the news. How much time do I have left?
2 minutes.
2? I want to use it efficiently. Mr. Pascucci was convicted, pleaded guilty to strict vehicular homicide. Right? He ran over a state trooper's aunt crossing from the Ocean Place to get some bandages for her husband. Killed her with a drinking fireman. They had been in 3 places documented before, ordered drinks to go, killed her dead, right? Pleaded guilty in Middlesex on a conflict, right? And guess what? He still hasn't been to jail. He still hasn't given up his driver's license. And to make matters worse, he's driving Joyce Jr., another drunk cop, thankfully that's gone, driving his landscaping trucks around. So now we got drunk landscapers, ex-cops, drunk killers, ex-cops, and nobody's stopping them. And the board wants to keep opening up more bars. That's just what we need. You ought to close Jack's, take their liquor license, because that place is a danger zone. Joyce Jr.? Well, 1 minute, thank you. Joyce Jr., I'm not going to go there. Everybody knows, and what was witnessed, it was a sexual assault on a very prestigious Long Branch police family on their daughter. And nothing's happening. Nothing. There's pressure on the family. Don't sue, don't. Okay, look. Everybody knows what happened in Jack's. Omar Akil, Long Branch police officer, gets drunk at Johnny Mac's, drives, hits a telephone pole on Branchport, right? 2 hours later, he's given a breathalyzer test after they worked him over here to make him have a lower alcohol thing. Goes to Tinton Falls on a conflict, and the prosecutor, Sean Keene, assemblyman, tells the judge, oh, he just finished a long shift at the Long Branch Police Department. He was tired, Your Honor. He wasn't drunk. Really? How about we all saw him in Johnny Mac's, and how about he admitted it in a report, right? You don't think that's a fix? Is that my time?
Thank you, sir.
I really enjoyed this week.
Anyone else? I need a motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Resolutions, we can take the list of resolutions as a consent agenda. Roll call.
I need a motion.
Oh, motion.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Viera?
Yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
Mr. Dangler?
Yes. Application. I need a motion to approve the list of applications.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Viera?
Yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
Mr. Dangler?
Yes. Miscellaneous business for the good of the order. Councilman Vieira.
Yes, good evening. I'd like to thank Susan for her hard work down at the police station for being Employee of the Month. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming. Good night.
Councilwoman Vogt.
First of all, I want to say how heartwarming it was to see the number of people that turned out for Long Branch Day on Sunday and stayed in the rain. You know, you just can't put a good city down. It was really great to see that. Second thing, I just wanted to point out to you, one of the resolutions that we passed tonight was for November 1st to be Extra Mile Day. It's an uplifting, positive kind of thing. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because what it says at the end is for the mayor and the city council, I urge every individual in the community to take the time on November 1st, next Friday, not only to go the extra mile yourself in your own lives, but also to acknowledge those who are inspirational in their efforts and have a commitment to make their organizations, their families, their community, their country, and the world a better place. So just give some thought to how you want to make Extra Mile Day a reality in all of our lives for Long Branch and our families. And with that, thank you for coming.
Councilwoman Wittes.
I also would like to congratulate Susan, and I'd like to wish everyone a good weekend that's coming up, and I think pretty soon we're going to be setting the clocks back, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have some light when we leave work, but thank you for coming. That's all.
Councilwoman Selly.
I have two things tonight. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Halloween, but make it a safe one. And I also like to remember, for you to remember, on November 5th, don't forget to vote. That's your right. Use it properly. Thank you.
Mayor Pallone.
So, of course, I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening and for your comments. I have a few things that I'd like to mention. So, we're proud to announce that the City of Long Branch has been awarded bronze level certification for Sustainable New Jersey. The application we submitted was approved for 20 actions in 13 categories for a total of 200 points. And actually, we needed 150 to get to a bronze level, so we're actually on our way to silver. This achievement will be recognized at the Sustainable Jersey Annual Luncheon on November 19th at the League of Municipalities in Atlantic City. So like I said, we're very proud of that. Next is the City of Long Branch, Brookdale College, NJSBDC, and Create Labs have come together to host a small business pitch competition for the local Long Branch community on October 30th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Wave Hotel. I'm going to say a few more words about that, but the bottom line is it's a mini Shark Tank or that sort of concept. And the goal is to provide local residents with the opportunity to be part of the city's revitalization. So all business ideas are welcome, no ideas too small. Judges will select 10 finalists from the pitch competition to receive a scholarship to complete the Entrepreneur Certification Program at Brookdale Long Branch campus. And during this program, you'll receive training, mentorship, and learn how to secure funding and customers for your business. Please call 732-923-2040 for more information. And again, it's very similar to what you see on Shark Tank, and everyone is welcome to come as a, just to be there to view the process, and I believe applications are still being accepted as well. Also, with Veterans Day coming up, we are calling on all World War II veterans. So if you're a World War II veteran and a Long Branch resident, please call the mayor's office at 732-571-5640. We're doing something a little special this Veterans Day. As you know, we normally have something at Jerry Morgan Park and at City Hall. But we're going to honor our World War II veterans from the city at that event as well. Just wanted to point out that the recycling yard will be closed on November 6th and November 7th for milling and paving, so they're redoing the yard, so it needs to be closed for that. And finally, this is another fun thing. The Board of Ed will be taking a field trip for a mock student government night on November 14th right here at City Hall. So students will conduct a mock meeting and learn about government. So basically we'll be simulating on their behalf a city council meeting, and that's being put together by our own city clerk here and Lindsay DeAngelis from our office. And thank you for your hard work with that, Kathy. So please, if you can come to that, that would be great. Is there a time for that?
5:30.
I'm sorry, 5:30? At 5:30 on November 14th. So with that, again, thank you all for being here this evening.
I would like to thank you all for coming out. And I, too, want to stress the importance of the election. It is obviously our right to vote. So please, don't let the party be the reason for why you're voting. Let the reason for why you're voting be you're voting for the betterment of the city, the town, the country, if you will. But definitely, we have important decisions that are made, and our local politicians are the ones that we actually can see. We actually can call them. We actually can get a response from them, and we can hold them accountable. So please go out and vote, and remember to look sort of at the bottom of the ballot. We have an important Board of Education election coming up also, and don't forget to cast your vote whichever way you want, but please cast your vote. And hopefully the children, grandchildren, the nieces and nephews have a good time on Halloween, but a safe time. God bless you. We have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
You haven't heard anything from Saturday?
Oh, no.
Oh, let's